For those that don't know me, my name is Denis Casey. I run my own consultancy business, and I support, I suppose, everything from micro businesses, small businesses, medium businesses. And what I do depends on whether they have problems or whether they're ready to grow. So it's everything from problem solving to help with finding new customers, promoting the business, whatever it is. And I suppose I was at a conference up the country a few weeks ago, and the first speaker got up and they defined an expert as somebody who has lots of slides and has travelled a great distance to be there. And I don't have a lot of slides. I've only come from Clonmel, so if that's the definition of an expert, I'm not an expert, but that's not going to make me shut up at the same time. I'm still going to share my thoughts and my opinions today. And I'm going to talk briefly about two topics. One is Brexit, and there's an awful lot of, every time the subject of Brexit comes up, everybody says, Asher, there's too many uncertainties, what can we do about it? And that's not true, and I'll try and explain to people why that's not the case. And second thing I'm going to talk about is people in business. Very often they actually don't understand their numbers. They might be making money, but they don't really understand why it is they're making money, which products are delivering a profit for them, which ones are not. So loving your numbers, as I call it, and understanding and knowing your margins by product, by service, or by channel to market, or by customer, whatever kind of makes most sense. Now, I'm going to start with the numbers one first of all, because there's always a danger when you talk about Brexit that you turn people off and everybody disappears. So we'll start with the one that maybe is more interesting, and then we'll kick on with Brexit after that. So I suppose if we look then in terms of why people should love their numbers, and more importantly, why they should know their margins. First of all, maybe let's just define when I say margins, what do I mean by margins? And every business has two kinds of margins. You've got your gross margin and you've got your net margin. Gross margin is the amount of profit, the amount of gross profit you make as a percentage of sales. Gross profit is the amount of euros you make of profit. Gross profit is the difference between what you sold in euros minus the direct cost of delivering the goods or the services. That's your gross profit. The net profit is the difference between all the gross profits you made across the range of products and the total overheads you have in the business. So if your total gross profits of everything you sold don't add up to more than your total overheads, you have a problem, you're losing money. So I suppose just to move on from that then, almost every business knows what their total profitability is. And you get your annual accounts and you say, okay, here's how many euros I made of gross profit, here's how many euros I made of net profit. And you can take out your calculator and you can figure out what your gross profit percentage is and what your net profit percentage is. But that's not enough because what you're looking at there are averages, and averages aren't enough to help you to make good decisions. Within the average profitability of your business, you probably have lemons. You have things that are very low margin, or very low profitability, or very low sales. And you probably also have things that are real brilliant products, and you're selling loads of them, and they're delivering great profitability to the business. But if you don't realize that, you can be focusing on the wrong things and stocking the wrong products. So you gotta drill down and understand your product and your margins. So maybe I'll give you a few examples of what I mean there. If you understand the margins of your business, you might find that you have products that have very low margins, or in fact negative net margins. And the number of times I go into businesses and we do this exercise and they're blown away by the mix of profitability in the business. And if you find you have products or services that are low margin or negative margin, you don't just stop there. You say, well, okay, what can I do about that? Can I put the prices up for that product or service? Can I look at the cost, at what it costs me to provide those products or services? Can I take the cost down, in other words, and fix my margin issues? If you can't do either of those things, if you can't fix the profitability of it, and there's no strategic reason for offering that product or service, you should stop offering it. Because apart from anything else, it's probably tying up valuable shelf space, it's tying up valuable cash, which is certainly your cash flow, and that money would be much better spent actually stocking products that have good margins and will make a much bigger difference to your bottom line than the low margin products. You may also have some products or services that have fantastic margins. Happy days, brilliant. But if you're not selling a lot of them, it's still not really the right product for your business. unless you can do something about it. So supposing you have a product that's got 30 or 40% net margin, and at the moment you're only selling 3 or 4 of them, you have to ask yourself the question, are you promoting those correctly? Are you positioning them correctly in the shop? Are there things you can do to increase the sales? Because if you can, with that kind of net profitability, you should be promoting the hell out of those, provided there's a demand for them. If there isn't, and you're only selling 2 or 3, and even though it's got great profitability, unless there's a strategic reason for stocking it, you shouldn't be stocking it. Spend your time and effort and energy stocking things that are going to make a bigger difference on your bottom line. So what else? What other issues could be identified? You might have products that mightn't be the best net margins when you calculate it as an individual unit, but when you look at the volume of sales that the product or service brings in, you might find that it's contributing a huge amount to your overall gross profit and net profit. Now, that's not the end of that either. If you have products and services like that, you should be asking yourself the question, what can I do to do more of this? Can I promote this better? Can I sell more of it? If you can do something to sell more of something, that's good profit. Fantastic. Even better, if you can do something to what it costs you to produce that good or service, and you can improve the profit even more, and you're already selling nice volume, even better. Now you're starting to make a big difference to your profitability. So if you can do a combination of those things, get rid of the lemons, the things that are costing you if you can't fix them, stock the right products, promote the right products, then you have a great chance of improving the profitability, the overall profitability of your business. So I suppose when you get into the actual calculating your gross profit and your net profit on your products and services, a few things to be careful of. I regularly go into businesses that are manufacturing products, and I say, well, show me your costings, and they show me this is how much material is going into the product, and they have a brilliant markup on it, all hunky-dory. But I say, well, how much of a scrap allowance do you allow when you're costing your products? And very often they haven't factored it in at all. And someone has to pay for the scrap. So if the customer isn't going to pay for it, it's eating your profitability. I had a great example a few days ago. I was up the country at a guy who manufactures kitchens. And reasonable sized business, turnover of over $1 million. So he's buying quite a bit of wood to make the carcasses and to make the doors. And we did the costing exercise, and I said, well, how much scrap, what's your scrap percentage? He wasn't factoring it in number one, and he said, it's probably about 5%. So later on, we went out to the workshop, and we looked, and he looked at me and he smiled. He said, it's a lot more than 5%, isn't it? You could see the waste in the workshop. It was staggering. And I said, well, how do you plan your production floor? He plans his production on the basis of one job at a time. So I said, for a start, you need to look at planning your week's production, putting all the jobs together and maximizing the sheet wood utilization. Now, I only met him a few days ago, so he hasn't come back to me yet, but I know he's going to make considerable savings just on that exercise alone by properly understanding the costing of his product and understanding what's eating profitability. The other thing to be careful of, I suppose, and again, this regularly comes up with people, service businesses, people manufacturing goods, they calculate really accurately how many hours it's going to take to do the job. Brilliant. And then they say, well, I'm paying Johnny $13.50 an hour, plus PRSI, happy days, I'm going to put that on top. That's my direct labor cost. But it's not. Every employee has 9 days of national holidays. They have 20 days of annual leave. And that's time that the business owner has to pay for that is delivering no value and delivering no work. So that is roughly 12 or 13% of a markup that you need to put on your direct labor costs to correctly price your labor into a job, whether it's manufacturing or whether it's service type work. So again, there are a couple of important things there when you're actually costing your products and services and trying to calculate your planned margins. I suppose the other thing is every business should have is a budget. The government has a budget. They set their budget in September, October for the following 12 months. All the big players, the Bostons and all this, they set their budgets. They probably start their budget process in July or August for the following year. Every small business should set a budget for the following year, because the profitability of the business isn't about the profitability of an individual product or a service. It's about how all those individual products and services add up to the total profitability. And if you don't have a plan of what you're going to sell in the next year and know the gross profit and the net profit of each one of those, what it's going to contribute to the business, there's a danger that you're planning to fail. And it's a very simple exercise using Excel to figure out what your profitability will be based on what you did last year with maybe what you think you can do slightly differently for the 12 months ahead. And you can use that to set targets for the business as well. But without that, it's very difficult to say that you're actually planning to succeed. So to me, that's a very, very important step. The second thing is actually to use a pricing model, to actually have a very simple Excel file that says, here's how I calculate my profitability for every product and service. That brings consistency to the thing, but it also allows you to do the next step, which is equally important, which is a thing called a gap analysis. Gap analysis, where you look at your business and you say, you take out your costing sheet, this is what I expected to, the profit I expected to make on that product or service. And you look at how much labor you allowed, how much materials you allowed, what should it have delivered. And once you've done the job, you go back and say, well, okay, this is the number of hours I put into it, this is the amount of materials I put into it, and you subtract one from the other. You identify the gaps, in other words. And if you're running over on materials or labor, you have to ask yourself the question, why? Were you just inefficient? Can you fix that on the next job and come in on target? Or have you undercosted? Have you assumed that have you got the rose-tinted glasses on and assuming that you can do it for less labor and less material than will actually go into it? So get the costings right, analyze them, identify the gaps, and then that gives you a good chance to make a profit, I suppose. So doing those kind of fundamental basic steps then allows you to actually analyze the margins of your business. And what do I mean by analyzing the margins of a business? It depends on the business, first of all. So if you're a service business, you analyze it by service. If you're a product business, by product. Sometimes, though, the channel to market might be important. You might be selling online. You might be selling to multiples. You might be selling directly to end users. And your profitability will be different by channel. So you should certainly analyze that. You will probably have some customers that are bigger than others. So you should certainly, for the bigger customers, you should understand the profitability of that customer as a customer and make decisions based on knowing that. And then what I would say is, once you calculate that for each of your product services or whatever it is, you should look at it in the terms of the gross profit and net profit that's delivered by unit. You should look at it as the gross and net profit delivered to the total 12-month sales of the business. And you should look at them as a percentage and as a number of euros. So that's kind of your homework done. Once you've done your homework, it allows you to make certain decisions. It allows you to ask yourself, okay, for which products should I be spending my money promoting? Promote the ones that have better margins, that have the potential to make a bigger difference to your bottom line. Which ones should you be focusing your efforts on reducing the cost of? So the product that might already be delivering good profitability has high volume. You should be targeting those so they can do even better things for your business going ahead. Which ones shouldn't you be stocking at all? Which ones should you make the tough decision and say, I'm not going to stock that. I'm going to free up my cash and I'm going to use that valuable, scarce cash to stock the products that I should, that are going to make a bigger difference to my profitability. And you can also use it to just like the stock levels, get your stock levels right. So I suppose by asking yourselves those questions based on analysing the margins, you can come up with an action plan, things you should be doing. And I would be, if you take that lesson home with you, and if you do that process, I will guarantee you will improve your profitability. Absolutely improve your profitability. I would say for most businesses, it's something that should be done probably annually. Depending on the type of business you have, maybe sometimes more often. But certainly every business should do it annually and should do their budget process annually as well. And I would say, the other thing I would say which is relevant is that there are experts out there who can help businesses to actually do this work. And particularly if you're a small business, if you have less than 10 employees, Michael and the local enterprise office have a mentoring program, and there is help available through the mentoring program to actually help businesses do this kind of work, to help businesses to thrive and kick on. So don't be afraid to go and ask for help if you're unsure of how to do it. I'm outside later. If anybody has any questions on it, feel free to come up and pick my brains. But help is there. It's a very simple process to do, and the benefits of doing it are absolutely enormous. And it doesn't take a long time. So my strong recommendation to all businesses, if you want to improve your profitability, or if you're losing money and you need to fix it, that's the place to start. I'm happy to take a few questions there before I go on to my other favorite topic, which is Brexit. I think I'll just keep going. I'm outside afterwards if anybody has any questions. You can have a strategic reason for having a product, yes. Yeah. Yeah, my advice, I suppose, is that it's fair. It's okay to have some products like that, provided you're doing it knowingly. My issue is that people don't know and they're doing it by accident, and it's not for strategic reasons. It's just, and you're right. There might be a product within your product range or portfolio that you need to stock for exactly those reasons. Yeah, but do it knowingly rather than by accident would be my advice. I'm going to turn my attention just to Brexit for a few minutes. Every time Brexit comes up, people say, "Sure, you can't plan for that. There's too many uncertainties." And actually, that's not the situation. The way to tackle Brexit, and I'll come into this in a minute, is risk assessing your business, contingency planning your business, running scenarios, and developing action plans to deal with those. Let's deal with the two obvious questions. First of all, why should businesses plan for Brexit at all? And to me, there's 4 reasons why businesses should plan for Brexit. The first one is if Brexit happens, no matter what business you have, if you're based in Ireland, no matter what business you have, you're going to be impacted. Whether you're the corner shop, if Brexit happens, the Irish economy will slow down and maybe go into recession. Every business will be affected. Even if you're the corner shop and you're buying products, you might be surprised how much of your products is coming either transshipping through the UK or actually being sourced in the UK. So even the corner shop will be impacted by Brexit, is the first point I'd make. On the other end of that scale, of course, you've got the bigger companies who are sourcing materials in the UK and who are selling to the UK. So there's a whole spectrum of impacts, but every business in Ireland will feel Brexit to some extent. And the other thing that I think surprises people is that to risk assess and come up with contingency plans for your business actually doesn't take that long. In about 2 days of your time, not 2 full days, but a few hours here, a few hours there, a few hours there, but adding up to about 2 days of your time will put together a fairly good risk assessment and contingency plans for your business. That's not a massive amount of time, given the risks that are posed by Brexit. I think the next point is really important, that the things businesses should do to deal with Brexit are things businesses should do anyway. They are pretty much all good for your business. They will make you more competitive, leaner, fitter, and more diversified. So the things that you need to do to plan for Brexit, you should be doing anyway. And I'll try and bring that point out as I continue to talk. The last last point is equally important, I suppose. Brexit presents opportunities. I sat down about a year ago and said, looking for opportunities in my business, and I said, here's Brexit, it's a gift. I got paid handsomely by Intertrade Ireland about 2 weeks ago to speak at a Brexit conference in Sligo. But okay, that's just me, but even in your own businesses, if you compete with UK-based competitors in Ireland or in the UK, those customers of the UK-based suppliers are worried about their supply chain now because of Brexit. And supply chain managers hate uncertainty, and Brexit equals uncertainty. So there's opportunities. You should be trying to figure out who your competitors are selling to in Ireland and in Europe, and you should be knocking on those doors because they will be nervous, and there's opportunities to open a door for yourself to get in there. So there's opportunities that people should be looking for. So they're the 4 main reasons for why we should plan for Brexit. And just to deal with the huge elephant that's sitting in the corner over there, let's flip it on its head and say, well, why should businesses, are there good reasons why businesses shouldn't plan for Brexit? And the first one that's usually trotted out is, there's too many uncertainties, sure, I can't possibly plan for Brexit. But actually, if you sit down and spend even half an hour, and I'm going to do it very quickly in a second here, just at a very high level, you can identify most of the impacts Brexit will have on your business. So whether it's possibility of reduced sales or possibility of currency impact, whatever it is, you can actually list them quite quickly. Once you've listed them and identified them, you can actually come up with plans to deal with them. And I'll come back to that again in a little while. The next reason that people often throw out is that Brexit is years away. There's going to be a transition period agreed, and more than likely there will be. The problem with that argument is that if you wait until Brexit has happened, it's going to be too late, because a lot of the actions businesses need to take to plan for Brexit take a year, take 2 years or longer to actually implement. If you need to change your supply chain, if you need to take the UK step out of it, if you need to find new markets, that takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So you need to get at it now, and bear in mind it doesn't take a huge amount of time to do it. The next issue usually people throw out is that I'm not sure how to do it. And that's an easy one to answer. There are people like me out there, and there's support through the likes of the local enterprise office under the Mentor programme, Intertrade Ireland through the Start to Plan voucher, and Enterprise Ireland. So there's actually help and expertise out there to help you overcome that one. And the last one is I don't have time. And the I don't have time one, yeah, like none of us can create more time than we have, but we all every day we make decisions about what we use that time for. And what I'm saying is over the next couple of months, spend 2 days of your time and put in place a plan for Brexit, which will not only get you Brexit ready, but it will also make your business more competitive anyway. And so I suppose that let's have a quick look at some obvious Brexit risks. And usually I say, look, if you're trying to risk assess your business, do it under categories, structure your thought process. So from a customer point of view, if you have customers in the UK, you have an obvious risk. Very easy. But you may have customers who are based in Ireland who have customers in the UK, so you can have an indirect customer impact on your business. If you look at the supply side of things, you can have suppliers who are based in the UK, so you have a direct impact. You may have suppliers who are sourcing materials in the UK, so you have an indirect impact. Even if you have Irish suppliers who are not sourcing anything in the UK, but if they sell a lot into the UK, they have a substantial Brexit risk. So all of a sudden, if they run into serious trouble after Brexit hits properly, and they go out of business, all of a sudden you have no supplier at short notice, and that's pain. So there's lots of hidden impacts, I suppose, of Brexit on businesses that aren't even selling directly or indirectly to customers in the UK. If we look at logistics, then from a logistics point of view, the material used in production might not be originating in the UK, but if they're transshipping through the UK, you have customs delays and potentially paperwork and admin work to go with getting the product in here. You may need extra admin people. You may need to allow for delays at borders both ways, which means probably having to increase your stock holding of raw materials and finished goods, or worse still, getting it to the UK early and storing it somewhere over there, depending on how demanding your customers are. And all of those things have financial impacts. Obvious financial impact is the exchange rate, and some impact has been seen there already, but there's likely to be more. It could go to parity, for instance. It could go the other way. Who knows? You'll have increased costs to do with, even if there is no hard border between north and south and east and west with the UK, the amount of extra paperwork involved with country of origin to do with all the other customs paperwork is phenomenal. Like those documents can cost anything from 20, 30 euros probably to 100, 150 euros. There's going to be a huge amount of extra cost associated with the paperwork alone, not to mind the other stuff. And inventory has a huge impact on your working capital, as I already said. So loads of obvious financial impacts for most businesses. What I say to people generally is never waste a good crisis. I don't know who said that originally, but Brexit is exactly that. Brexit is a crisis when you look at the number and the scale of the risks that it poses to every business in Ireland, and it can't be ignored. We're lucky we've got time to plan for it, and in my view, it is actually quite easy and quite possible to plan for Brexit using risk assessments and scenario planning and contingency planning. And I suppose I've developed, it's not unique to me, but I outlined 7 steps businesses should take when they plan for Brexit. And it starts with identifying the risks like we did there. And say, for example, a business might have customers in the UK, and if the UK goes into recession post-Brexit, demand from the UK customers is going to fall. So that's your risk. The impact that's going to have on your business is a reduction in sales. And then you can quantify that by putting together a very simple financial model for your business. I have one on my laptop outside if anybody wants to see how it looks afterwards. But once you've identified the impact, which is reduction in sales, you can say, I'm going to run a scenario. My UK sales fall by 10%. What financial impact does that have on my P&L? If UK sales fall by 30%, what does that do to my profitability? If it goes to zero, am I completely goosed? Probably are. Run the numbers. A very simple model will give you the answer to that very quickly. And once you've identified and quantified the impacts, you can prioritize the things you should be dealing with, and you can start brainstorming ways to mitigate and reduce those. Every mitigating option, and this is step 5, you look at it from what are the pros of it, what are the cons of it, and how feasible it is, and will it actually work? Will it make a difference to the risk you're facing? Step 6 is to pick the best of the mitigating actions and build them into a plan. Every action item has a target date, has somebody responsible against it, and then you implement and you monitor progress against that. Now, I suppose, look, that's a detailed process, and that's why there are people like me who can step you through the process, but it's not a difficult process. Anybody can do it, and about 2 days of your time will get you through that process for your business. So what are the practical things businesses should be doing to help themselves? And this is Brexit or no Brexit. They just happen to work for Brexit as well. Every business should spend time and get to know their main customer. Their key customers, you should have a very close relationship with them. From a Brexit point of view, it means you get close and you understand what their Brexit plans are, what they're worried about. And in an ideal world, you try and cozy up and work on combined actions to mitigate their Brexit concerns. As part of that process as well, you can condition them to expect a price increase. Whether UK businesses like it or not, there will be price increase. They will see price increases after Brexit, because even if you have competitors that are based in the UK, and if they're importing raw materials and other things from outside of the UK, they're going to be hit by customs delays and customs charges and things like that as well. So price increases, as far as I'm concerned, are going to be part of everybody's post-Brexit action plan. Not the whole answer, but for sure it's a bit of it. So building a close relationship with your customers, key customers, is a good thing to do, no matter Brexit or no Brexit. And from a supplier point of view, it's exactly the same. Build a close relationship with your suppliers. Understand how exposed they are to Brexit, what their Brexit plans are, and if they are very exposed, you need to be looking for alternatives. And again, time spent knowing and getting to know and understand your key suppliers is never time wasted, never. From a competitor point of view, analyse your competitors to understand how exposed they are to Brexit, how much of their costs are outside of the UK. So you can, once you figure that out, and you can normally you can come up with a good guess at that for your UK-based competitors, and knowing that, you can quantify how much of a price increase they're going to look for. More importantly, identify who they are selling to in Ireland and in the UK, and go after those, target those businesses. To be a bit maybe more specific, every business should be trying to grow their business. If you can sell more products, your overheads get spread better, and you will be more profitable. So again, that's the solution to Brexit. Sell more, but sell more in new markets outside of the UK. Develop new products and new services. Sell new products and new services to your existing customers. Again, that's an essential thing for businesses to stay ahead of the competitors. Always continue to innovate and develop new products. That will help you to sell more, and again, that will help your bottom line. As I said earlier, knowing your margins by product, by channel, by customer, whatever it is, analyse it appropriately for your business. That will help you to get Brexit ready, and it will help you to have a better business even if Brexit doesn't happen. Price increases, as I said already, have a role to play. Looking at your overheads, reducing your overheads, whether it's going after your phone bill or your insurance or your car costs, whatever it is, look at all your overheads. If you take money out of your overheads, it goes straight to the bottom line every time. Talk to your suppliers, look for alternative suppliers. If you can map your supply chain from all the way from when it reaches you through the UK step in the link all the way back, maybe you can take a UK link out of the chain and take the Brexit risk down, number one, and number two, maybe you can negotiate a better price by doing that. And what I would say about all of those things that I've just listed there, all of those things, what they do for your businesses, they make you more competitive, they make you more robust and increase your profitability. And even if Brexit doesn't happen, there are things you should do. If Brexit does happen, they help to soften the blow of some of the damage that Brexit is going to do to your business. So I suppose, look, I'm just coming to an end now, but basically my conclusions are, from a Brexit point of view, Brexit's coming. It's a crisis. It is possible to plan for it. It doesn't take an enormous amount of time. There's plenty of help out there to actually help you do through the mentoring program with Leo's, through the Start the Plan voucher available from Intertrade Ireland, through Enterprise Ireland. There's lots of help out there. Go and get it and be ready, because the people who plan for Brexit, if Brexit happens, are going to be the winners afterwards. People that plan for Brexit and Brexit doesn't happen are going to be better, stronger companies after. They're going to be more profitable. And from where I sit, there's no reason not to plan for Brexit. There's no downside to it. The time you spend is going to bring dividends to your business one way or another. And my advice would be that take advantage of the fact that there's lots of supports out there under the heading of Brexit supports. Take advantage of those to make your business better. They just happen to be called Brexit supports. Use them to improve your business anyway, because it's the right thing to do. And I suppose at that, I've come to an end. I'm going to wrap up. So that's my tuppence worth on 2 topics. I hope you got something from it, and thanks very much for taking the time to come and listen. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.